Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're embarking on, well, quite a journey. We're going deep into the incredible, vibrant tapestry that is Brazil. Yeah, we're aiming to move beyond the usual headlines, really unpack the distinct identities of three specific and I think endlessly fascinating Brazilian regions.
Sounds great.
So, our mission is to immerse ourselves, really get a feel for the planned modernism of Brasilia in the Distrito Federal,
Yeah.
then dip into the historical and culinary heartland of Minas Gerais, and finally explore that fiercely independent spirit you find in Rio Grande do Sul.
Hmm.
We've pulled together a good stack of sources, academic stuff, personal accounts, historical research, lots of nuggets about culture, history, music, food, everyday life.
And what's really remarkable, I think, about focusing on these three is how they offer such a unique lens. You really see how geography and pretty complex history, plus all these diverse populations, they don't just coexist. They actively forge these, well, truly distinct cultures within the borders of a single country. It's about understanding that intricate mosaic that makes Brazil, Brazil.
Couldn't agree more. It's exactly that interplay, isn't it? That mix of factors that makes Brazil just so captivating to explore. So let's dive in. Let's unpack this incredible mosaic, starting with Brazil's modernist marvel.
Let's do.
First up, the Distrito Federal, home to Brasilia. Now, this isn't just any capital city. It's really a living symbol of national unity of modernism. Founded back in 1960 with this, well, audacious vision to encourage people to move into Brazil's vast interior.
It really is a city built on ambition, and the design itself is quite remarkable. A modernist dream built literally on that distinctive red earth, conceived by the legendary Oscar Niemeyer, the architect, and Lucio Costa, the urban planner. It's so unique, it's actually a UNESCO World Heritage Site, specifically for its urban planning, its vision, and famously, of course, if you see it from above, it's shaped like an airplane, sort of symbolizing that flight into the future.
That airplane shape, it's such a bold idea. I always wonder, does living in a city planned with that much meticulous detail, does it create a particular kind of civic pride? Or maybe a unique rhythm to life?
That's a good question.
And how do these grand ideas translate into the culture, the people? Because you've got this blend, right? Indigenous roots, Portuguese history, strong Afro-Brazilian influences. You see it everywhere, from the futuristic buildings to murals, even traditional crafts like ceramics and lacework.
It's an excellent point. I mean, Brasilia is fundamentally shaped by its purpose. It's a hub, right? Civil servants, students, artists. This mix creates a population that's often highly diverse and often intensely politically engaged, especially the youth. There's this tangible energy, intellect, public service. It permeates the place, fosters a very forward-looking, but also kind of reflective identity.
Interesting. And what about the local flavors, the sounds? Does Brasilia, being such a melting pot, have its own unique twist on classic Brazilian dishes? I'm curious.
Oh, it absolutely does. You'll find influences from all over, especially Minas Gerais, Bahia,
Yeah.
Goiás, the Northeast. Now, pão de queijo, that amazing cheese bread, yeah, that's everywhere. But here you'll also get hearty feijão tropeiro, that's beans, manioc flour, sausage, really satisfying. And then there's piqui rice. Now, a little heads up on piqui.
Okay.
It's a native fruit from the Cerrado region and has this incredibly strong flavor. Almost cheesy, nutty. It's very unique. Honestly, it's one of those things people either absolutely love or really find challenging. So it's a very distinctive local taste.
Right. Divisive, maybe?
Definitely divisive. And of course, you have churrasco, Brazilian BBQ, always popular, refreshing sugarcane juice, acai bowls, and pamonha, that sweet corn paste.
Okay, so no subtle nuances with the piqui then. Sounds like a flavor that grabs your attention, much like Brasilia itself, maybe.
Exactly.
And the music scene, does that blend of intellectual and political energy we talked about, does that shape the soundscape?
It certainly seems to. The music scene is just as diverse. You get MPB, that's música, popular brasileira, often quite sophisticated, genre-bending pop. You also hear classic bossa nova, of course, the energy of rock brasileiro, and that popular country folk style, sertanejo. But if you want the local legend, the band that really embodies Brasilia's unique identity, it has to be Legião Urbana.
Ah, yes.
Iconic rock band, formed right there. Their lyrics, often poetic, kind of melancholic. They became the soundtrack for generations growing up in this grand, sometimes maybe lonely, modernist city. Songs like Tempo Perdido and Eduardo y Monica, just storytelling gold, really reflecting that mix of aspiration and introspection.
That sounds incredible, a band really mirroring its city's soul.
Yeah.
What about everyday life, those little quirks that define a place? Clothing, slang?
Well, everyday wear tends towards light fabrics, jeans, t-shirts, sundresses, mostly because of the city's dry climate.
Yeah.
But during festivals, you see more traditional stuff. Colorful rural outfits for Festa Junina, vibrant samba gear for Carnival. As for slang, you might hear ia beleza, just means what's up, or massa, which is like cool, pretty common in the Center West. And if you're hopping on public transport, you pegar o busão, catch the bus.
Pegar o busão, got it.
And the city's original vision, actually, was summed up in its motto, Fé, Ordem, Progresso. Faith, order, progress.
Right. Okay, so from the future-forward capital, let's pivot. Let's head to a region just steeped in tradition, Minas Gerais. This place is often called our cradle of Brazilian identity, isn't it? Known for its Baroque art, incredible crafts lace, pottery, and a really deep religiosity.
It truly is. It's a region where faith and artistry just seem to walk hand in hand. And the people, the Mineiros, they're often described as having this immense hospitality, kind of quiet wisdom, and often a poetic, reflective nature. There's a real sense of deeply rooted community.
And the history there runs incredibly deep. Tell us about the gold cycle. What was its lasting impact?
Right, the gold cycle in the 18th century. This was absolutely central to Brazil's formation. Minas Gerais became the epicenter of the gold rush. It attracted floods of Portuguese settlers and tragically vast numbers of enslaved Africans. It generated immense wealth that shaped not just the region, but the entire colony.
Wow.
And that wealth, along with the heavy taxes imposed by Portugal, also fueled the Inconfidência Mineira in 1789. This wasn't just some small rebellion. It was a key Republican movement pushing for Brazilian independence, led by figures like Tiradentes, now a national hero. It really defined the region's historical significance, making Minas a political powerhouse, even as the Republic formed later on.
So, with that powerful history and the deep religiosity you mentioned, the traditions must be incredibly vibrant.
Oh, absolutely. You have Folia de Reis, for example. It's this colorful religious procession celebrating the journey of the Magi, lots of music, costumes, often going door to door. Then there's Congado. That's an Afro-Brazilian tradition that beautifully blends Catholicism with African heritage. Thick drumming, music, dance, devotion to saints, and Semana Santa, Holy Week. It's huge, especially in historic cities like Ouro Preto. You get these incredibly dramatic, emotional reenactments right on the old cobbled streets.
Sounds amazing. Oh, and the food, comida mineira, it's practically a legend on its own, right? What makes it so beloved?
It genuinely is. Widely considered one of Brazil's most beloved cuisines, known for its comforting homemade quality. So beyond the pão de queijo and feijão tropeiro we mentioned, you'll find tutu de feijão, like a hearty refried bean paste. Delicious. And frango com quiabo, chicken with okra stew, so good. For dessert, doce de leite and goiabada cascão, that guava paste, absolute must-tries, often served with fresh cheese. And the tradition often involves wood-burning stoves, these heavy iron pots. Family recipes passed down for generations. It creates this truly unique, soulful flavor.
I can almost smell it. And what about their music? Is there a particular movement that defines Minas Gerais?
Musically, yeah, a definite standout is the Revolutionary Clube de Esquina movement. This was back in the 1970s. It was a collective of artists who blended traditional Brazilian rhythms with influences from rock and jazz. Really unique sound. Their lyrics were often very poetic, introspective, talking about nature, spiritual longing, maybe a subtle political awakening. It really captured that reflective, artistic spirit of the Mineiro people.
Fascinating. And what about their unique expressions, the slang? I hear there's one word in particular that's a real cultural marker. Everyone knows it.
Yes. This really highlights how language can just encapsulate a whole culture, doesn't it? The quintessential Mineiro interjection is way.
Whoa.
Exactly. It's incredibly versatile. It can mean, wow, really, huh, maybe even come on.
Yeah.
It sort of perfectly embodies that quiet wisdom, that often understated surprise of the Mineiros.
Huh, I like that.
Another fun one is trem. Literally means train, but they use it for absolutely anything. Thing, stuff. Pass me that trem.
Okay.
And oso is kind of an affectionate greeting or sometimes an expression of surprise. A common phrase you might hear is "non tô sabendo, não." It means, I don't know about that, but it's said with this typical soft-spoken humility and their regional identity, beautifully captured in the phrase, Minas non tem mar, mas tem montanha.
Minas doesn't have the sea, but it has mountains.
Precise.
What a fantastic turn of phrase. Really captures that deep connection to the land and a very distinct step of self. Okay, now let's travel south. Let's head down to Rio Grande do Sul and discover that legendary gaucho spirit. This region has a truly unique identity, doesn't it? Influenced by Portuguese, Spanish, Italian, German, indigenous cultures. Quite a mix.
It is quite a mix. And a defining characteristic here is that the gaucho, it isn't just a symbol, it's a core identity that really permeates everyday life. We're talking about the free-spirited, horse-riding cowboy of the Pampas, the grasslands down there. Core values like family, honor, a deep connection to rural life, and a really strong sense of resistance. These deeply shape the local mindset and traditions.
That spirit of resistance, you can definitely see it in their history, too. Tell us about the Fertila Revolution and its legacy.
Right, so the Fertila Revolution, which ran from 1835 to 1845, that was a whole decade. A Republican rebellion against the Brazilian Empire. It fundamentally defines the region's fiercely independent spirit, that strong sense of self-determination.
10 years is a long time for a rebellion.
It really is. This state also saw significant German immigration, starting way back in 1824, and then Italian immigration from 1875 onwards. And that profoundly influenced everything: architecture, cuisine, even local dialects in some areas. It's also really notable that Rio Grande do Sul was the first Brazilian state to abolish slavery back in 1884. That was 4 years before the national abolition.
That's an incredibly important historical detail. Wow. So how do these traditions play out today in daily life celebrations?
Oh, they're absolutely integral, woven right into the fabric of daily life. You have Semana Farroupilha from September 14th to the 20th. It's a massive celebration of gaucho heritage. Everyone's in traditional clothing. There's music, food, huge horseback parades. It's quite a sight.
Sounds vibrant.
And they have these places called Centros de Tradições Gaúchas, CTGs. They're cultural centers where people learn traditional dances, cooking, how to dress like gauchos, really keeping these customs alive. And of course, churrascos, the BBQs and mate circles, specifically drinking chamarrão, are absolutely essential communal rituals. Folkloric dances like chula and venerão are also really key to their cultural expression.
Okay, speaking of churrasco, this is definitely meat and fire country, right? What are the staples? What's on a typical gaucho menu?
You've hit it perfectly. The cuisine is hearty, often cooked over an open flame. Churrasco itself, grilled meat, usually on skewers or big spits, is king. But beyond that, you'll find arroz de carretero, that's rice cooked with dried meat, a classic trail food. Dishes like galeto, which is small grilled chicken, feijão mexido, kind of stir-fried beans, and pinhão, pine nuts, especially when it gets cooler.
Pinhão? Okay.
And for drinks, the iconic gemarrão. That's the traditional herbal infusion. Sipped from a gourd, the cua, with a metal straw, the bomba. It's a real ritual of hospitality and sharing. And you also get vinho, colonial homemade-style wine, which is a specialty in the area settled by Italian immigrants.
Sounds like the perfect accompaniment to their music. What kind of genres should we listen for to really get the gaucho spirit?
The music down there includes styles like música nativista, chamamé, and milonga. These songs often revolve around themes very close to the gaucho heart: the land, honor, cattle, love, and that deep-rooted spirit of resistance and self-reliance we talked about. They're often storytelling songs passed down through generations, really capturing the essence of the Pampas.
And then finally, let's talk slang. Is there one phrase that just screams gaucho?
Oh, yeah. It's fascinating, again, how a simple interjection can embody a whole people, isn't it? The quintessential gaucho catchphrase is bache.
Watcha!
Exactly. It's incredibly versatile. It can mean, wow, hey, go me. And it really reflects that direct, spirited nature. You'll also hear capaz. Up day. That can mean no way, or really. And tri-legal means super cool.
Right.
Very common. And if someone says they're chavano mate, it means they're preparing the chamarrón. It's basically an invitation to join them, to share in that communal ritual.
Travando, mate. Nice.
And this sort of brings up the question, how do these local expressions capture that unique blend, resilience, hospitality, pride that defines the gaucho? Their motto, often heard during Semana Farroupilha, kind of sums it all up. Sirvam nossas façanhas de modelo a toda a terra.
Which means?
May our great deeds serve as a model to all the earth.
Wow, that is a powerful statement to end on for that region. What a trip. We've gone through the visionary modernism of Brasilia, the rich traditions and deep, deep history of Minas Gerais, and the independent, hardy spirit of Rio Grande do Sul. It's truly incredible how distinct each of these regions feel, almost like, well, countries within a country.
It really is a remarkable insight into Brazil, isn't it? Each region with its own unique history, its popular traditions, its distinct food, its own music, even its specific slang. Each one contributes to this incredibly rich, multifaceted identity of Brazil. It's not just one Brazil. It's this amazing tapestry woven from these diverse threads, each telling its own compelling story.
Absolutely. So, what does this all mean for you listening? Well, we invite you to consider how these regional identities, so profoundly shaped by their unique histories and environments,
Yeah.
how they foster these distinct forms of national pride and expression. Understanding these local nuances, it really enriches our appreciation of a country as vast and diverse as Brazil. So maybe don't just stick to the main tourist paths next time. Dare to seek out more stories, more flavors, more sounds from beyond the usual headlines. Discover the Brazils within Brazil.